so much stuff floating around. I don't know. People trying to say they wasn't together.
Basically was trying to get into a threesome. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Hello, guten tag, all that good stuff. Welcome to Kay and Manny. I'm the one they call Manny, and she is the lady of all K's. And if you're tuning in again, we're still doing our PowerCouple Series. And today we have the lovely Tomay and Darryl Varlack-Butler. How y'all guys doing?
Good.
That's great, man. I mean, we're pushing through and we're doing everything here. So we'll go ahead and jump right into the questions. Okay, y'all?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and say, how long have y'all been together?
In terms of marriage, or are you talking about relationship?
Both.
Oh, you trying to get both now. You want to know both. So we met in graduate school at Fordham University, probably about 2013.
Okay.
And so, we was just friends. I think in 2015, that's when, relationship evolved into a relationship.
So that's 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. So y'all met at graduate school. Y'all became friends, and then it just evolved into what it is right now. Correct?
Yes.
That's great, and that's a really good thing. That is. Now, let me ask this question real quick, and I know we're gonna kind of bounce around a little bit. Now, when you say y'all started off as friends, was there any intention to let it evolve into something more, or did it just happen naturally?
I don't think she's telling the truth. I think she had an eye on me. I think I was a brother that was like one of them snacks, and before I knew it, I was. I
don't even know why he's saying all of that. I had no intentions at all. I was in a relationship when we first met, so we were just friends.
Well, we both was in relationships,
right?
When we just met, and what we shared was our love for academics
Mm.
and education. And then besides us having so much in common, brothers and sisters. I don't like the phrase of the hood per se, but we came through the urban. Experience in this world, and that's filled with poverty, violence, drugs, and so we had so much to be able to identify with in terms of overcoming and seeing that beautiful you in both each other. And so it just happened academically. She used to always be in class with her crew, and of course they was like wasn't feeling me, because I was engaged in the material. I grew up playing ball, and when I gave up the basketball court, the classroom became my basketball court. So if we had an assignment, you're not just going to tell me to read something and accept it as it is. We're going to wrestle with this thing, and so we would be in classes, and naturally the professor always called on me. And then Tomay and her crew was like, "Here, we got to listen to him again. Here we go."
That was them. I really enjoyed it. I actually told him, like, he's so intelligent. I used to be in class, and the professor wanted us to respond to like what he said, and I was like pulling up dictionary.com, see what the word meant that he just said.
Wow.
That's not right.
That's why
that's not adequate depiction.
That's why the other classmates were like, "Oh," because the professor kept talking to him because he was operating on her level. If you ask me,
I hear that.
That's great. I mean, it's just the fact that y'all both have so much in common, whereas y'all were able to relate to certain things within your lives and everything of that nature. I think that's great. Kay, you have something you wanted to ask them?
Yes, I do. So this question goes to the both of you guys. So I have to ask you, what qualities do you like in one another?
You want me to start?
Yeah, gotta think about that.
No, I asked him, did he want me to start? So the first thing that really attracted me to him is his integrity. his integrity, his love for God, and his humor. I can't say how.
He's like,
His love for
I'm hearing this.
family man. He's a family man. His character, he has a good character. I can say so many things that people would just be like, really, he's perfect. I mean, he's perfect for me.
Right.
You know, and he has his quirks, but we're talking about qualities. The fact that he can cook, although he don't, not a lot of the times, maybe as a special surprise.
I don't mess with perfection. I think for sure. You know, I don't mess with perfection. So I've never had a bad plate.
And he has a good sense of humor.
Okay.
So you can share what my qualities are. I would like to hear them, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This is set up, okay? Okay, this is what you have here to do, okay? Set me up. So now, you know, got those pins. I got to knock them down, right? You know, I'll just say the spirit of perseverance. That's one thing for sure. Always, you know, envisioning and thirsting for life, to create, to reproduce, to give life. Whether it's through creating programs that she's done with Workshop, Tamar's Truth, the racial healing. She, you know, her mind always continues to keep going. And that's one of the most important things, second to her sense of spirituality and her relationship, you know, with the Most High. And that's one of the things that bring us together, that we share that spiritual connection in that way. I remember as a young man seeing this movie, right? They had this movie, it wasn't Perfect 10 or something, but these kids, these two little boys, they created the perfect woman. Y'all remember that?
What movie was that?
We went to the laboratory and they like, she has that, you know, have this body, these brains. Weird Science. That's what it is, Weird Science. And so they created, you know, took the time to create the perfect woman that they want. And so I remember having had, you know, quite a few bad relationships in my life, you know, from not taking the time to really look at these qualities and what I'm looking for. Because it's interesting that you're asking this question, Kate. And I remember later in life, making sure I had an outline, you know, what my expectations kind of degree was for the woman that's for me.
Right.
And, you know, and for sure, definitely was, you know, a relationship with God, you know, a strong value foundation, was academic, able to, you know, to push forward through challenges in that part, that spirit of perseverance, the deep root of compassion, you know, in terms of having found a way to deal with one's own trauma, so that this way you can show another compassion. If you haven't dealt with your own trauma, then you can't be there for someone who needs it, because when their need comes out, that's going to create, you know, tension. You know, many times in my past, I was just naturally took for granted that the person I was in a relationship with was liking, and they grew, you know, to, you know, real feelings, because I don't already always associate every feeling to love. You know, it's the same thing. I will always use the word like. To me, in some cases, like is better than love. And the reason I say that is because when you like somebody, there's a consciousness that never leaves you in terms of appraisal with that relationship.
Right.
You know, when you love people and you go and focus on love, some of that love you can hurt you. Right? And you know, love is not supposed to hurt. So I'd rather you like me sometimes than love me. Because I don't want you to hurt me. Right? And at the same time, you know, love grows out of like. And if you're grounded with it, always have reference to go back. Let's not forget, we love each other, but we're together because we like each other, support each other. We share the same values. We have a thirst for life. You know, I have your back, you have my back. You know, you have to jump in. You know, I can flow now. I want y'all to know, right?
No, but I love everything you said. But that key thing that you said, Darryl, you said liking one another. I think that is so key, because there's so many couples out there. They love one another, but they don't even like one another. So that leads me to my next question to ask you: do you feel like you guys are power mates, power couples?
I would ask you to define, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
I think it's really dynamic.
Okay.
You know, in terms of our ability to have, be, if you want to say, roses that grew through the concrete, because being a person of color in this world, being marginalized, being in communities that are intentionally deprived of resources that they need for the children, families to have safety, to have nutrition. These are not the places that we come from. So that's one of the things to make sure we clear about. Many of our issues are not reflect of our defective as ourselves, but how responding to the injuries that was intentionally given to our parents, our parents, and it trickled already down to who we are and ultimately how we're treating our own children and our relationships.
Wow, that's a great answer.
Yeah, that is. Okay, doctor. Dr. Psychology, I love that. Do you have to ask myself, why am I here? Back, Tomay?
Wait, say that again.
I said, do you want to piggyback on anything he said?
No.
He said no.
She has to respond. That's my flow. We need the yin yang, right? We need the masculine and the feminine.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna give them with spirit.
So I think when I answered the question before, in terms of, I don't define us as a power couple. I say that we are a couple that's empowered by God to do great things. That's what I say.
I love that.
I've heard other people attribute that title to us, one of our favorite power couples and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, I didn't hear that, my brother. I'm just a meager laborer. I'm trying to apply service for the space I occupy. And that's who, that's what that is. I don't really listen, but I was curious, like, what did you mean by power couple? When you use the phrase, what do you mean?
Right. Again, like you said, you hear the terminology all the time as a power couple. So to me, a power couple is like when two people can come together and act in their gifts, that God has ordained them, but you complement each other and you work well together, and then you have a balance because you're mature enough to know how to handle each other. That's what it means to me.
So then, yes, we're a power couple.
Okay. She used the terminology power.
No, I'm saying based off of her definition. And the reason why I say that is because, I often get these, opportunities to go do trainings and things like that as a restorative justice trainer, practitioner, and all of that. And he will come and support me, right? And one time I was doing a training and he came, it was over 160 people. Let me tell you, we don't go into these professional spaces and say, we're a couple. We don't do that. We can be professional. We just do what we're called to do. Doing that training, somebody kept really trying to get the mic, get his attention so he can bring them the mic. And finally, it was a female. When he went over and handed them the mic, they started singing to him. They were flirting.
Hold up. I don't think flirting is the right word. I think sometimes, right, when God is using us and a light is radiating from us, we never know who that light is hitting that they really need. So it's the same thing. I'm always quick to stay grounded. And Tomay knows this. The good that I do, I say that he gets the credit using me and working through me.
Right.
And I think it's the same time we help rejuvenate people by allowing our light to shine. And when it reveals itself, it's important not to try to interpret it. It may feel uncomfortable. It may, it'll be, if you want to say flirty, but everybody know that was the spirit that wasn't real.
Right.
The joy that might have just finally burst or come out in a way. Like I needed that today. Because I can tell you, every time I go someplace in life, I walk out my door, I look for beauty. Is the trees out there still going? I take a deep breath with fresh air. And again, that's from my socialization and what I've been through all these years that I've come to appreciate the very little things. And at the same time, not be quick to kind of read into them and give them more, more recognition or more attention than they deserve. I don't. Yes. You may finish.
Okay, so what I was saying is, so there's things that I know because I think men sometimes they're just not as observant of things because of his context, right? And the way he engages life and views life. But I do know that it was a little set of women, because one other female who knows me came and was like, that doesn't bother you? And I said, no. So I know that there was a back conversation, like a backside conversation that he wasn't privy to. And this is why I'm comfortable, because you see how he just explained that. Like, he wasn't even looking at it as, oh, the woman is coming on to me. So because he's not in that space where he needs to be looking like for anything or anyone. Right. But it was just the fact that somebody else, even I observed it. And when the person put it to my attention, I was like, okay, we're in a train. These things happen.
I'll be real with you. You have a lot of wonderful things amongst both of y'all to say in that situation. And one thing I always wanted to ask y'all, one thing I wanted to ask both of you was, are y'all in business together? And if so, what is
it? Wow. So he's very supportive, and I would say yes, but he hasn't been able to like do much of
contributing.
Yeah, because he was hurt. So he's still like recovering and doing physical therapy and things like that. So he hasn't been able to do much.
Well, to put it there, right? So I got hurt on a job. I'm out on workers' comp.
Okay.
And unfortunately, what tends to happen is that they do not want you per se, your natural self, and trying to get better and stuff. So they try to look at times, it's just challenging as you fight to get back your livelihood and do what you do. You have someone looking over your shoulder trying to say, oh, you shouldn't do that. Instead of just taking responsibility for that. So in that way, I haven't really been contributing with the organization. It's called Workshop Inc.
Okay.
You were asking about our business, in that way. And, basically we provide services to people of our community. We deal with trauma, injury. We do circles. We have men better men. We also have
returning citizens.
Yeah, the 4 R's. We have that. And we do also when people reach out to us. We create. Somebody may need a particular circle, healing circle, and so we do that. Specifically, for a person, and it's different each time. And Tomay, she's basically been in the organization and keeping it going, and I don't know how. While in school, PhD, every time I turn around, she has another circle. She's doing another group, another meeting, a training. I'm like, come on, go. That's right, go. Go, keep going. You got this. I'm the number 1 cheerleader now. Come on, you got this, baby. You got this. Worry, you want to lay on the side of the couch? I say, come on, baby, I'm going to give you some water, give you some bread, because we got to get back up. Let's go.
But I like how you are like very, very supportive of her work. And so basically what you said is the workshop is basically you provide various services within the community. And is that basically what it entails of, or is there something specific that y'all do?
Well, it's really specific to affirming worth, because we believe that if you can see a place for yourself in the world, then you can engage the world. Because a lot of the time people, if they don't see that there's a place for them, then they withdraw inside. They don't have hope. They don't, pursue their purpose because they're like still looking. How can I engage this? How can I become that? How can I keep going to the next day when I'm facing this? Right. So it's really, and it really boils down to worth, because it's like, am I valuable enough? Am I worthy enough? Do I deserve this? Because a lot of time people self-sabotage because intrinsically they don't believe they're worth what they even dream about or desire.
Right.
Interesting. And let me ask Darryl this question real quick, because you said something that was very, very significant. You stated that you're basically, I don't want to characterize this, but you're her basically biggest cheerleader. Now, has there been times where you actually was like, all right, come on, let's do this. We got this here. And you met it with some resistance. Has that ever happened to you?
When you say, okay, when I was met with resistance and pushing and challenging and help us get through or help her get through those challenging, uncomfortable, is that what you're asking me?
Correct. Absolutely.
We don't grow in isolation and we don't grow on foot. Oh, we should do, right? and she does it too, to be fair. And that's the whole thing where no question, we need that. We all need a push from each other. And those are not easy or comfortable moments, in your relationship, especially you're married, you live together, you're in the same house. And your sanctuary, the spirit of it is important. You can tell when it's a ripple. You can tell, somebody decided to sit out on the couch and they come to the bed and you, right? And it has nothing to do with academics, right? No working on papers, nothing like that. We know this, but it's also human to give each other space when we need that.
Right.
You try to force a thing, that's when it can implode or explode. Mm-hmm. However, when you're able to gauge and say, everything that happened is not apocalyptic. It's not the end of times. The relationship is not going to end, in that way. So you respond differently, when you look at it as a long distance runner. And so in this relationship, that's what we have to forever remind ourselves. We're in it for the long distance. Every day is not going to be a good day. Right. And we're not going to let those good days take over, right? The normalcy. Okay, vocabulary off. But you take away from the normalcy,
right.
Of our home, and our energy and our joy. That's sacred to me. She would tell you when she first met me, the one thing I said was, "Don't mess with my happiness."
I hear that.
So if you want to be happy, then you want to be with me. Because that's how I'm going to be, for as long as, God gives me left in life.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you did answer my question. And you said something great too, because I was going to lead into my next question. You was talking a little bit about marriage and you were talking a little bit about your happiness and everything. So my question to you guys is, why is marriage important to you? And what does you think that does to the African-American community? Yeah.
You want me to go? Oh, you want me to go? So I take a cultural person of color, Black man, nationalistic view, which means that a family that is together begins with a man and woman. Out of that is the outspring, which is the future, the generations, its legacy. People of color, Black people, family has been strategically attacked to the degree of what we see. Where when I was younger coming up, marriage was a normal step, a normal process. It was a normal stage in the relationship. Right. And building, having a family and building and creating a life that's out as bigger than just you in the here and now, but will be after you're gone is how it should be lived. And so I see that I was getting ready to start a movement, trying to get Black men to start marrying Black women again. And I believe that, many of us are already married in relationships, right? Mm-hmm. We just haven't put the seal on it. We just didn't go, we've been together 5 years, that, have 2 children, 3 children, been in 13 years, 10 years, in our community, brothers and sisters, sometimes in relationships from high school and they have children. Sometimes they have met after, high school. The bottom line is we've been living with partners, 5, 10, and more years. So you're really already married. You've already made a commitment to this woman that, or this man together, right? That we're going to care for each other. Okay. And those relationships seem to fare better in the face of attacks of a system against us. Means we're stronger together than we are apart. And we do need each other. You know, there's a mindset that has always been to try to divide us. Tell black women, you don't need a black man. Tell black men that, you know, black women ain't nothing. You don't need them, right? All this is to try to continue to keep us weak, becoming weaker, and steady weakening, right? Because as I said, you know, earlier I shared, I'm like her biggest cheerleader right now. We are the air we breathe. We are each other's oxygen. When I step outside my house and I see my neighbor and his wife and they're together laughing, different type of oxygen, right? When I step outside and I may see a young, you know, brother and sister, right? They're not married, but I still breathe in that oxygen because they're a brother and sister together that's recognizing that together we can build and do better.
Absolutely.
I see the child there in that group, right? I affirm their worth. You know, to affirm worth is to change their life by saying just a hello, how you doing? You know, taking the time to have a conversation, or even being able to say, if you clean this up for me, I'll give you $5. It ain't really about the getting the stuff done and all the time. It's about us strategically creating, fortifying our environments, which ultimately ourselves and our families and our community by positive contributions, especially filled with, you know, spiritual, you know, which in terms of is bigger than, you know, I don't know if I really answered your question. However, marriage is putting a seal on a relationship. It's saying that I'm committed to this. And this is what we need to start making commitments back to ourselves.
Right.
You're saying Black Lives Matter. Then another way to show it is for young brothers and sisters, start getting married again. Right. Don't operate from the deficit about what if it don't work. Right? Because we're already looking in our resume past of some of the, you know, things that we really survived. Right? We done been through some bad stuff, especially those of us that's coming up in an urban environment and survived this. We've already experienced some of the worst things that life can throw at us. So we know we can deal with the worst. Come on. Let's go after the good. Go and get married. Right? And don't be talking about if it don't work. You woulda, you're there. Same thing if it's you know, the sister. Go ahead and marry him. You're already in a committed relationship in a way, and watch how that fragrance will change each other as well as his environment and his families, those and everybody community connected. So I did go first, Tomay.
You covered for both of us. We did.
I'm gonna say this, just for the record. That's probably the best answer I ever heard so far on this show. And I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. I commend you for, you know, dropping all these jewels on not only just me, but just everyone listening. And I think a lot of people can very, very much benefit from what you say or you have to say, regardless of not only just the marriage aspect of, you know, bringing marriage back into the African community, but just how we should carry ourselves as men when we are married. I think that's very, very key. And I think a lot of people either are afraid to touch on that or just don't know how to. And I think that's something you really brought to the table that I wasn't expecting, but I just want to commend you for that answer. Because I think a lot of times we as men get it so misconstrued on what a married couple should look like. Because I think sometimes we look at celebrities as the bar. Right. You know, and I understand that a lot of people look at them and then they see how they fall short of their marriages and they realize, well, wait a minute. I thought y'all were the perfect couple. And there's really no such thing as. However, you mentioned something whereas you are the air you breathe. So in other words, you have to work as one. And a lot of times we miss that or we just don't remember that. So salute to you, man. I had to say that.
Thank you so much.
I really do have to say that. You brought a lot of insight to what you just brought to me. I had to say that to you.
I'll just add briefly. There's a sister, Dr. Joy DeGury. She has a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And one of the parts of the book is when her father was dying and he began to call each one of his children to his bed. to be able to have that last conversation, last rites, that last call to action, letting your child know, I expect greatness of you. So she said she went there and her father was sharing about his life. He said when he was a little boy, I guess growing up in Louisiana, came across these white men, and the cart was on the ground, hay everywhere. He said, boy, get over here. Pick that up. And he says, as the father began to go there, he began to become tearful. And, he said, but I did it. Mm-hmm. Then it's about later on in life. He was in the military, I think the Navy. And he came in across another situation where his humanity was stepped on by a white person. And he ate that. And by then he was visibly crying, she says in the book. And he said, I want you to know, I ate that because of you and your brothers, your sisters, so that y'all wouldn't have to go through what I'm going through. So I sacrificed so that y'all can have a better life and grow. And that's one of the things that's missing for us as Black men, as Black women, as us coming together and having relationships about a future. It's about making sure you leave the world better than you inherit it. Make sure you leave your children better than they came in the world, and they will leave their children better off than they came in the world. And that's what's missing from us right now as men. We have to get back into the mindset of legacy, building legacies. Mm-hmm. Me and my friends now, we're in our 50s, and we talk about legacy, and we judge ourselves on, maybe sometimes harshly, on how we should have been building this legacy mindedness a long time ago. Right. But reality is that the trauma, the community, all these things that we have had to navigate and get through created blocks from us being able to see what's really important and not. You think about when, your father may have got killed and your mother was just there. Your mother wasn't able to really connect emotively with the child whose father got murdered, right? And she has to work. So where's that child? That child is in that environment where other people who've been, murdered or hurt or filled with so much poverty and trauma that, it takes time for us to get ourselves together and be able to see really what is this about? What's really going on? And once we do, then we have to do something with that. And so that's why I say bring Black love back, bring marriage back. Brothers start marrying sisters. Let's radically change it. We say Black Lives Matter, brothers start marrying sisters. Right? Sisters start going into relationship with the men you would with a respectful mindfulness, not a combative, but we're gonna put our one and one together and we're gonna be two. Right. And we're gonna continue to do right by each other and do right for what's going to be left behind from each other. So that's just I really believe that's a gap that's there, man. That's a gap. We have forgot what we're living for, and it's not ourselves. It's the betterment of those who are connected to us, and that's going to be here in this world.
Right.
Wow.
And the truth be told, that's the only reason why I'm on this show. I'm not on this show in any form of way about, look good. And I that's not it. I said, this is my contribution today that God has called on me to share this and support y'all too, and what you're doing. And so that's how God brings us together, right? You have the idea, you had a talent, and be able to attract, people who can share what makes us human in this whole call now for humanity now.
Absolutely.
So that's what has to come out of this social movement now. Humanity now. It's when colorless, right, begins to step up for what's best. And when I say colorless, I'm talking about the rainbow. I'm talking about Black people, white people, Jews, Christians. I'm talking about us coming together and say, that's not right. Let's change this. Only humanity does that. And so it has to come from our humanity in order to begin to change what's going on socially. That gets back to, of course, where we're at, marriage, how we feel about each other, how we treat each other, how, want to walk out the door, F you. Who leaves their sacred home with a woman they love under that? No. And when, listen, I can go on, so let me stop.
No, but Darryl, I love it. I love everything that you're bringing. And to be honest, one of the reasons why Manny and I decide to open up 2021 with this, because we feel like Black marriages matter. It really does. So by you just saying everything, you like in my head. So I need you to get out my head, because this is what we wanted to bring to the community, to let us know that Black love still exists. It can be joyful. It does not have to be painful, and we can grow together, and we can, just like you said, live for generations and plant the seeds ahead for what's coming. So I love everything that you have gave us. You have definitely blessed us. Tomay, was there anything additional that you wanted to say? Because I know sometimes it's kind of hard to come after Darryl because he done said a mouthful.
No, it's not even about it's hard to come after him, because we joined as one. So
Absolutely.
when he speaks, he's speaking my heart, and when I speak his heart. And like I said, the way we started out with me, I was taken by his brain, his mind, his intellect, the way he can contextualize things. And so, the Bible says iron sharpen iron. I always come in and bounce something off of him, and we talk, and we have a lot of the same ideas, but the way he will contextualize it, I call him the contextualizer.
Right.
So that's why, he spoke for both of us. I'm good.
Okay, she's out.
Again, you know where brother come from, right? Sisters hear from sisters too. So hers is, I say men make men better men, and hers is strength, sisters strengthen sisters, right? So that's why, honestly, a sister voice also has to be heard.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the same way brothers, it'd be easy for me to be able, sit here, go on. But there's some things that Black women need to hear from a Black woman, not from a Black man. There's some things a Black man need to hear from a Black man, not from a Black woman. And that's not to say we can't dialogue and communicate, but it hits differently. Mm-hmm. It feels differently. And that's why, I always encourage you, you have a lot to say to sisters. There's sisters out there who are hurting. There's sisters out there who need, a positive ray of light. Like you say, I'm somewhere with her and somebody start singing to me, right? You have the same magnetic energy and attraction that God uses you. And you have guys, what? She told me, right? She in the car, or she was doing something, and the dude came off the train and run down. Now let me talk to you. Or something, right? We all have those experiences to the degree because of the light that God gave us and the beautiful people we are. And when someone is in a dark place, for whatever reason, they can look at one of us and they'll see a ray of hope. And it's bigger than us. I know I can't explain it. So what do you have for those sisters? Say to those sisters, sister, and your sister spirit.
Was it specific to a question?
Because I know we was on the topic of, black marriages in the community. How does Black marriages add value to the African American community?
To add on, I think it adds strength. I'll say that it adds strength, but it takes us to, as women. So I'll speak to women when it comes to relationships before we get into the marriage. I think it's important that as women, we stop looking at men as human capital, of only what they can bring to us, only what they can provide for us, and start looking at them as the human beings that they are. That's one. And engaging them on that level, because I find that a lot of times as women, immediately when we meet a man, it's like, can he be my husband? And that's not the way to go. It's really, who is he? And let me engage him and let me honor him as I get to know him and see who he is. And the other part is, even when things happen that it doesn't look so favorable, not to give up. Because that's the other thing. Women, I find, we just give up on our Black men way too fast. We give up on them, but we expect the world to hang in there with us. And I think that what we want for ourselves, we need to offer to them. So, and that's what helped us build up to this organic. I might think on some levels that he had his eye on me, and he may say that I had my eye on him, but it was just so genuine that it blossomed into something beautiful, because I got to know him as a man. Nice. I got to know him as a college student. I got to know him as a peer. I got to know him as a colleague. I got to know him as an intellect. I got to know him as, another guy that's just, in my sphere of influence. And then I got to know him as someone that I can love, that's someone that I can respect. But it took work, and the work that I needed to do was the work on me.
Absolutely.
So also coming to the table, knowing what I bring to the table. And when we were getting together, I had some baggage, and like he said, don't mess with my happiness. The baggage I had, he was going to mess with his happiness. So I had to deal with myself first. So it's that whole concept, because I talk to women, and if it's over, they break up and they say things like, oh, he was a dog, he's this, he's no good. Why are you saying that? Because he wasn't a dog and he wasn't no good when you got with him. So keep that same energy you had when you met him, keep it all the way through the relationship to the end. And the only way you can do that is by working on yourself and being critically conscious of your own thoughts. Like, we know when something's going bad. Like, I'll say now, in reference to my ex-fiance, I'll say it was a farce. Like, I can say that because I saw all the red signs, the red flags. But because of my own injuries and my own need to want somebody to love me, because I wasn't healed myself, I opened myself up to the things that, possibly could hurt me. Right. But I think if we know what we're carrying, we know what we're dealing with, and we know our own capacity, then we won't put such a burden on men and try to have men become our doctors, our nurses, our accountants, our bank tellers. No, we should come together in a partnership.
Absolutely. And I'm going to piggyback off of you, Tomay, that you said something key about women, how, when they're with this guy and they're no longer with him, and they might say he's a dog and yada, 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 but they never factor in the part, what part did I play in the relationship? They don't do that. And I'm very big on that, because I was able to come to myself and do that. And this is why I teach other women to do the same thing, because they're so quick to point the finger. But you got to remember, when you point the finger, 3 fingers is pointing back at you. So like you just said, you have to do the inner work. If you don't do the inner work, all the relationships are going to be the same. And I see a lot of people that are like, why I keep running into the same men? And it's like, well, what if it's not the men? What if it's just you?
Right. I mean, and it's definitely 2 parties, right?
Absolutely.
Together. So it's 2 parties doing something that's contributing to it. Either we coming together or we're moving away from each other. But even with that, and when Darryl was talking about legacy, the reason why I don't like hearing women talk like that, because a lot of the times they're talking to their children about the fathers like that. Right. And the children might have like this resentment towards the father, but the true resentment is everything you're saying about their dad. It's a reflection of them, because their dad's DNA is in them. Right. So we're not really paying attention to that until the children become older. And then you have the mom saying, oh, I'm having problems with my son. He's not listening. I'm having problems with my daughter. She's hanging out. Why? Because you were reckless and you sowed the seed inside their spirit that made them feel like they were less than, because the man that they came from, you said, was a dog or no good or couldn't be trusted. So those are seeds that we plant in our children. We need to stop acting like our children aren't independent thinking beings and have real conversations with them. That's what we need to do. And we need to get back to.
Well, if I could jump in a second, one of the things we create our own constitution, our philosophy on how we're going to live life in order to stay balanced and stay harmony. And that, we feel good when we look in the mirror at ourselves. Because to me, I've learned over life, the most important thing to be able to look myself in the eye and say, you did your best. I really, learned to block out that peer pressure influence in that way. However, I've learned to take the good as I go, right? That's my philosophy with relationships. When I moved on, I didn't move on, you did this, you did that. If it happened, it was only for a minute. After that, I look at all the good that God blessed me with that came through that person, and I'm gone with it. Absolutely. I'm not carrying what went wrong with it. I'm carrying the good from it that allowed me, you know, to move on. And I'm thankful for those moments that we shared. I really don't want to think about the ones that made things go bad. And so, you know, what you think upon grows. You become what your thoughts are. And so it's important in relationships that we learn how to even part. And that's part of the reason that a lot of tension and the emotive yelling, screaming, and unfortunate harmful things that may happen between a man and a woman and infect the children, infect the relatives, brothers, sisters, cousins, excuse me. Because when you get into a relationship, it's not just you and that woman or you and that man. Everybody's connected to other people.
Right.
And so we all feel the good when things are good and everybody here, oh, she got a man. And like, yo, how's he doing the right thing? Everybody, the women champion, they be like, yo, I'm glad she got one, or fine she got one. And you know, and vice versa. When things go wrong, everybody got locked jaws and they're looking at, you know, being able to point the finger and the blame.
Right.
I remember getting a card one time from a church group, and it said season, reason, or lifetime. And it says people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Most often, always, when it's matters of the heart and we meet someone and these feelings of attraction and you know and desire start coming out, we want it to be a lifetime. However, it may not be meant for a lifetime. It was only meant for a season or a reason. So embrace your season and reason, right? And allow yourself to be worthy of it if it goes a lifetime. Don't jump the horse for the cart. Put the cart in front of the horse. Let things fluid and flow. Because in that, you're being able to demonstrate your ability to be able to have that. Many times we want things we're not ready for. And that's why sometimes relationships, do not work. And as, Tomay was saying, you have to do your work on yourself. But I do think we need to learn how to part ways and yet always remain connected. I have a cousin who just died briefly.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah,
thank you. And he had sickle cell, but he had 44, 45 good years. He fought that thing. He fought that thing in that way. However, I was just talking to his mother, my first cousin, and she was like, oh, man, it's taking me back. I said, listen, let's just be straight up. We ain't never getting over this. That's just to be a fact. Anytime you lose someone you love, you never get over.
Right.
You learn to live with.
Mm-hmm.
That's our key in all our relationships with each other. Learn to live with the good and beyond the bad.
Right.
Because we never want to stop living. And when we go to a place of mental, emotional, excruciating pain, we stop living. We go to depression. We go to alcohol, drug abuse. Sometimes we go to jumping from man to man or jumping from woman to woman. Right? And that's the place where we don't want to be. And so that's why it's so important for us to learn how to live with and grow through things that we go through. I always say that, grow through what you go through. Take the time and recognize what you go through is not the total sum and substance of you. Right? Never let nobody do that to you.
Right.
Make you feel you are your worst, your worst action. That's not the sum and substance of you. That's how you respond in a situation. And that's one other thing to make sure we don't do that to people either. We're not quick to do that to them because, of course, shot somebody. We look at the news and we see all kind of, things. And that's somebody, it could be somebody we know. It could be a relative. And we could be like, oh man, but we have to always come from a place of compassion. Some get my legs squeezed. So I mean,
No, but that was actually good. That was really good.
Now we're gonna go ahead and pivot into something fun before we close this episode. Basically what it is we're gonna ask each and every one individually questions, whereas I ask Tomay and Kay ask Darryl. So these are lighthearted questions. So no cheating. And please don't send me an email saying, look what you did to us, please. Woo. Man, after the conversations we had, I'm just like, should I do this? Should we should we keep it all the way serious, or do we need to lighten the mood up? Or, I mean, I can talk to y'all all day long, but let's go ahead and get the questions in. And you ready?
Let's go.
All right, I'll go ahead and start this thing first. Now, Tomay, if Darryl was going out with his friends, where would he go?
Oh my goodness. Darryl will go where he decides to go when he gets with his friends. So I don't necessarily need to know where he would go.
Oh, so you're like, it's cool if he goes somewhere he knows where he's coming home.
Yeah, because I don't know. I might know who he's with, but I don't know where they're going, and that's okay.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Second question. What would you say his most prized possession is?
Prized possession in like something material?
Material, yeah.
Oh, it's a big boy. So it could be a few things. It could be big boy because that's meaningful with his first car. It also can be his pinky ring that he got from his pops. Yeah. And oh my goodness, it also can be that very expensive chess set that you got.
Oh, you're a chess player.
He's good too.
Nice.
I probably won't be able to beat him, but I'm also a chess player. All right, and the last question is, I wish Darryl would stop fill in the blank.
I wish Darryl would stop downplaying his brilliance.
Okay.
That's an
you hear that?
response.
Talk your stuff, Darryl.
It's never rest for the weary.
I hear you, man. All right, Kay, you ready?
Yes, I am. So my first question to you, Darryl, what dish does Tomay prepare that she thinks you enjoy the most?
Wow, that's a tough one because I've never had a bad meal out of her, and our lifestyle, which is this proteins and vegetables. So, wow, that's a good one. We just did lamb the other night. The lamb was delicious.
Okay.
We just did shrimp. Oh, I made that last night. I made the curry. I made the coconut shrimp last night. I'm sorry, about to give that to her because I don't mess with perfection. I usually let her do all the cooking.
I heard that. So lamb, you would say lamb is a good dish.
If I was to say, the my favorite dish that I think that my dish that I like, no, it's not lamb. Wow. It's probably her fish.
Okay.
Her fish. When she do her red snapper, sometimes. I say her fish.
Her fish. Okay.
The stir fry.
Good answer. Okay, so my question number 2 to you is, what habit would you like Tomay to break?
Oh, wow. 1, 2. See, you knew you was gonna mess up my happy house, and I told you how much my house is, didn't I? Didn't I tell you how important to be happy? You knew you was gonna do it.
Go ahead, baby.
I ain't trying to break up the happy house.
Don't worry, you couldn't break it up anyway. He's like, 1.
I think it would be. I would think it. I don't want to use the word procrastination, but hesitating from just doing and being her beautiful self.
Okay.
I think I would like her to just flow in her gifts. She's so gifted in so many different ways, but it's like she doesn't see it. And so
I agree.
I would like
to agree because she's the bomb.
.com.
Yes. I agree, Tomay. I agree, Darryl. Okay, so my last question to you is: you had to describe her using a drink. Would you say she's a cosmetologist, a margarita, or gin?
She's a long Steve.
I mean, she's strong.
Yeah. Shit about that.
I'll take that.
Great answer.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm sorry. He has to take this. It's very important.
No problem.
I love y'all. It's been a blessing, but I am number one son.
I hear that.
I had to go
Thank you, Darryl.
I love y'all.
Thank
I wish y'all continue support and success in what you're doing. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll let them finish off with me.
We're coming to an end.
What's up, man?
Anyway, so that's perfect timing. But Tomay, if the people wanted to reach out and follow you and Darryl, where can they find you on the social media platforms?
Oh, they can find me at Tomay Douglas. I haven't changed that yet to Varlack-Butler. They can find me at Workshop Inc. on Facebook and Brand Me Beautiful Inc. On Instagram and on Facebook as well.
Okay, and do you have any upcoming projects that you would like to talk about or promote?
Oh my goodness, everything I'm doing right now is like in the academic world. So I'm doing trainings, working with universities with diversity, racial, and things like that.
Okay.
Racial healing and restorative justice training. So it's not anything that's open to the public.
Okay.
It's more so universities contracting, to come in and do training. So it's the nonprofit.
Yeah, the nonprofit. Is that open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And they can go on Facebook and get your information, correct?
Right. Our website is worthshopinc.org.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate you and Darryl presence. You guys were dynamic. The answers that you gave, it was like, wow. Like Manny said, should we break the ice and play a game? But you guys were wonderful. I love how you encourage and and lift up one another and how you're very careful with your choice of words. I think that is so powerful. So again, I thank you for coming up here. I appreciate you. Everyone that's following, I hope that this was this was a meal for you, because this was a meal for me. So continue to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the Lady K Chat Podcast. And you can also reach us at our website at www.ladykyenterprises.com, and K is spelled Kay. So one more time, www.ladykyenterprises.com. And everyone, you have a great day and catch us next week again at 11 a.m. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.
Lady K.